everyone. We hope 2022 is treating you well so far. Welcome to Primary 4A's presentation.
As we're sure you would already know, we've been learning about
the Vikings!
So we wanted to share some of the things that we have learned with you. Fun fact! Did you know that the word Viking means something like pirate in Old Norse? People nowadays know so much about the Vikings because archaeologists have dug up artifacts that they trace back to Viking times.
Some of these artifacts, Vikings had writing called runes on them. We had a go at writing using rune symbols.
The Vikings originally came from Scandinavia. The countries there now are Norway, Sweden, Denmark and Finland.
They lived there for generations until around the year 800. But over 1,000 years ago, when they decided they wanted to go and trade with other countries and seek new fertile land to farm, they travelled west to Iceland, Greenland and North America.
Southeast over the Baltic Sea towards what is now Russia, through rivers towards Turkey. South to Great Britain, France, Spain and towards the Mediterranean. And even made it as far as North Africa and the Middle East. The Vikings are known for yes, we all know those pesky Viking warriors that began invading these other foreign lands to take treasures back to their homeland.
Vikings traveled by boat, navigating using the currents of the water, birds, the sun, and the stars, and they passed information out to each other about routes to take.
Fun fact, kids! Did you know that Cape Wrath in the north of Scotland got its name from Old Norse, meaning turning point, suggesting that the Vikings used their cape as a landmark to tell them where to turn their vessels while sailing along the coast.
Their boats were called
Longships!
and were a very efficient way to travel. They all were made from planks of wood and were powered by rowing oars. They also had a sail to use when it was windy.
The festival often had the face of a dragon or a snake, and it is believed that the Vikings wanted to scare away any evil spirits as well as people that they may be invading. Well, ships could travel both ways, so can also sail up rivers. This came in handy for getting to many city inlands from the sea, and was a great way for a surprise attack.
As they would have been out at sea for long periods at night, they would keep cozy by sleeping in sealskin sleeping bags and turning the sail into a net.
There's no place like home.
Their shields were made from wood and metal and would be hung on the side of the boat to provide cover to the Vikings when in case of an attack when they were rowing. Good defence, but often Vikings were the attackers.
Archaeologists have discovered metal arrowheads, spear tips, and axe heads which tell us about the weapons that they would have used.
Fun fact! Did you know that the original Viking hamster did not have horns? That is a myth!
What? We
knew that. The horns were added to make them look more dramatic for the opera by a costume designer. An axe could be used to chop wood, but also as a weapon to harm or to pull down their opponent's shield, like this. Many Vikings had a short-handled axe, also called a hatchet.
Spears were a common weapon because they were easiest to make. They were also used for hunting. We whittled a stick at the end like a spear, like this. Or Vikings may have put a metal tip on the end.
Bows and arrows were good for hitting targets further away.
Only the very rich kings and leaders could afford a luxury such as a sword and scabbards were even more fancy.
The people of Largs just along the road like to celebrate the Battle of Largs, where they claim to have defeated the Vikings. A pencil memorial was built to commemorate this.
However, we heard that the battle was a draw. Both armies lost many soldiers and the Vikings even left of their own accord. But the people of Largs don't win stuff very often, so let's let them have it. Excuse me, wait a minute. Many of the Vikings that came to Great Britain did not actually go home due to something called the Danelaw. They were given land and allowed to stay as long as they stopped trading.
Did you know that many of our words today are from the Viking language, Old Norse?
And many English words that begin with SK or SC originated from from Old Norse.
Also, about that song, most Vikings were not fighters and killers and were actually very peaceful. Jobs like farmer, blacksmith, boat builder, woodworker, and made craft like jewelry and clothes. Fun fact! Did you know that the Vikings were actually exceedingly hygienic and liked to look and smell good?
Saturday was the regular wash day for them. They had beards, combs, and even little ear spoons for getting out their earwax. Many Vikings were peaceful farmers who just wanted to raise a family and live quietly.
They grew crops and kept animals such as cows, pigs, and chickens. There was no electricity or gas, central heating in those days, and there would have been a big fire in the middle of the house to keep it warm.
They kept cozy at night using animal skins for blankets.
They didn't have running water like our houses today, so the toilets were outside of the house.
They dried meat by hanging it up so they could save it for any traveling expeditions or to make sure they had food for the long cold winters. They lived in settlements they lived in villages a lot smaller than most of our settlements today.
Did you know the Vikings built the frames of their houses, wood and the walls were made from a delightful mixture of horsehair and cow dung?
And the ones who shared part of their houses left their animals.
There was no electricity or gas, central heating in those days, and there would have been a big fire in the middle of the house to keep it warm.
They kept cozy using animal skins for blankets.
They didn't have running water like our houses today, so the toilets were outside of the house.
They dried meat by hanging it up so they could save it for any traveling expeditions or to make sure they had food for the long cold winters. The Vikings had many gods and goddesses that they believed in and had many stories and legends to explain how the world was created. Some of the gods were Odin, the god of knowledge, chief of them all, ruler of Asgard, the home of all the gods. He only had one eye, as he traded the other one in order to gain infinite wisdom. Not to be confused with me, Odin, the goddess of spring or rejuvenation, and the wife of Bragi, the god of poetry. I am the keeper of magic apples of immortality, which the gods must eat to preserve their youth.
Thor was the god of thunder with his enchanted hammer that could knock down mountains and defeat giants. He was the strongest of the gods and nowadays one of the most famous. I am Loki, the god of mischief. I regularly play tricks on the other gods. However, no one from my sneaky ways forward never a god's hammer.
Thanks, Loki.
When I failed our goddess enough and beauty and intelligence had made sure that Sean lied, the rain fell, and the clock glowed.
Heimdall was the guardian of the gods and guarded the rainbow bridge into Asgard. He had a magical horn that could be heard anywhere on earth.
I am Tyr, god of war. I am a brave warrior. I am known for my wisdom and I fight for justice. I only have one hand as the other was bitten off by Loki's giant will. Catch you, Loki!
I, Hel, daughter of Loki, goddess of the dead in the underworld. I appear as half woman and half skull.
The gods were so important to the Vikings that the days of the week were named after them.
Monday Moon Day, named after the god Mani, who the Vikings believed pulled the moon across the sky with his chariot.
Tuesday.
Wednesday, Odin's Day.
Thursday.
Friday, Fight Day.
Saturday, Saturn's Day. This is a Roman god, not a Viking god, but we thought you might be interested.
Sunday or Sol's Day. Sol was the sister of the moon god Mani, and the Vikings believed that she had to pull the sun across the sky for all eternity. Thankfully, we get to rest on this day instead.
Interesting question.
What happened when the Vikings died?
Investigating the remains of the Viking graves is a way that archaeologists know so much about these fascinating people.
Vikings buried their dead with their belongings as they believed they would need them in the afterlife.
Rich Vikings that died could be buried with their boats, belongings, weapons, and even animals and servants. Sometimes when powerful Vikings died, they were put in their boat with their belongings and it was set alight and pushed out to sea. Valhalla was the name of Viking heaven, and they believed that if warriors died a brave death in battle, it was a great honour, so they would get a seat at chief of them all, Odin's table, to feast every night for eternity. They believed the goddesses called Valkyrie could fly through the battlefield to find the dead warriors and take them to Valhalla.
This famous piece of music, Cradle for the Valkyries, by Richard Wagner, is about the journey up to Valhalla that the Valkyries would take with the dead soldiers.